flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Amy?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I accept a motion to approve the agenda of May 8, 2014 as presented.
I make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I have some amendments I'd like to make to it. Under action items, we need to, action item F, approve contract with Gordy Frazier. Action item G is a resolution to set the pavilion rental rates. And action item H, resolution for budget amendments. Action item I is to approve sending delinquent water accounts to Antrim County Treasurer. And I accept the motion to approve the agenda of May 8, 2014 as amended.
I'll make that motion.
Four.
Motion by Bodley, second by Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Accept the motion to approve the minutes of the April 10th, 2014 regular board meeting.
Support.
Motion by Chapman, second by Batterbee. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment.
Thank you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Walt Bedell. My wife and I live at 774 East State Street. We own and operate the room right there by the bridge. I have with me two documents which I'm giving to Ms. Mosher, and I'd like you, at your convenience, to review those two documents. One is a ruling from the Michigan State Supreme Court relating to riparian rights, and the other one is a document from the Central Lake Township Assessing Department that shows a map and diagram of the area that where I live, where the lake is, and where Thurston Park is. I respectfully request to review those documents. At some point in time, I know we have some issues. I would like to try to resolve them. I will make myself available, if necessary, to any board member, with or without your attorney, to try to discuss possibilities of resolving this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
I have a letter I'd like to read. May 8th, right at the public comment period, and submitted to the Central Lake Village Council from Melissa Zelenak. It says, Dear Central Lake Village Council, I'm a resident, taxpayer, business owner, voter, DDA board member, and planning commissioner in the village, and would like to express my strong desire to see the village support and fund a cleanup day in the village. At this meeting tonight, you will hear comments from the public about having a cleanup day, and to date, many others have responded positively to online questions given by local residents regarding this issue. I believe close to 40 people have adamantly said yes when asked if they wanted a cleanup day in the large CL News group. While you may consider this number somewhat low, well, a piece of candy, I will remind you of a statistical fact given to me by a congressman at the state capitol a few years ago. He said that when one person cares enough to write a letter, make a phone call, send an email, or even show up in person to comment or demonstrate about a topic, we take that very, very seriously, as our legislative research has shown that for every one person who speaks up, there are 150 more people who feel the same way. For the last 2 years, I've observed with high interest the actions of the council and admit to being stunned over decisions more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. But tonight I hope that you'll consider all the words you hear and take action to provide village residents with the services they've been asking for all these years. It would be wonderful to see taxpayer funds go towards things that help the entire community versus spending our money on special interest groups or other unplanned or unnecessary budget items. The people of Central Lake trust in you to listen to them and to help find solutions to challenges that come before you. Let there be some decision made tonight that will help you do the right thing and serve the community as a whole by developing a cleanup day plan, executing it very promptly, and assuring that the service is offered every year by making it a regularly budgeted item in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you want me to take first? Just to follow up with what Melissa said, in 2010 financials that was audited, you had a $9,000 allotted amount for spring cleanup. Did that happen?
I'm sorry, what year was that? I'm trying to write that down.
2010.
Thank you.
It was budgeted for 2010 for
Thank
it.
you.
I didn't know if it happened or not. That was just a question. Also, part of Ken Kruse's campaign for president of village council, there was a goal that he had set for cleanup day. It's in an interview in a 2011 Antrim review. I wanted to ask if that is still your goal. And here are just some numbers or whatever that were crunched so you can think about these, and I can get copies of this to everybody. There are approximately 388 households in the village, though not all are occupied or want cleanup. Revolution Waste, who's Rob Burkhart in Bel Air, can do a curbside pickup for the entire town for $10,000. Roll Off, which is a non-crushed, like dumpster, huge dumpster, 40 yards, that's $1,200. Not crushed means you're not going to get as much stuff in there as you would if it was crushed. Bob Harmon, who's a scrapper, can do $50 per person curbside for every household that puts it out. It's a little high as far as what the residents want to pay. So something else that I want you to think about, is there a possibility of splitting the cost between the village and the residents? Because if it was $25 for them to come around and you picked up the other $25, that would be a done deal. It would happen. Preferred Waste 2, Kevin, can do a park and pack, which is actually the cheapest way to go. 25 yard is $1,100, and that would service approximately 100 people.
How many yards?
25. And American Waste, Mark can do a park and pack, 25 yards for $1,125. So there's a $25 difference there. The difference in the park and pack is it's crushed. So people just keep bringing their stuff, they keep crushing it, and it's for about 100 people. So at $1,100 for 100 people, you're talking about $3,300 for 300 people, or households, because it's not gonna be per person, it's gonna be per house. And once again, if there's some way that we can figure out how the residents can get this done in combination with you, or if the village can find the monies to do this, I wanted to present that to you as something to think about, and I can get you copies of all the numbers. There were over 40 people that had stated yes. They really need this done $50 was a little high for some of our residents. And so I said, I'll try to work something out. But then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna come to you guys and see what we can work out. Okay, thank you.
Ken, would that fall under a committee and then go from there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it right now. Very true.
It was under DPW in the 2010 budget.
Okay.
Sure, push it off on me.
I'm sorry. That's where it was.
So who would limit how much trash people put in the dumpster? Because I'll just be honest, we've done cleanup before,
Right.
we've never cleaned up the town. Am I correct, Sam? The last one we did was $10,500, and if you drove through town the day before, or the weeks before, and the day after, not one difference in the problem areas in town. I'm not against it, I'm just saying, we gotta be
Right.
realistic.
No, I
What you want
understand that. One of the
accomplished
problems is
with it.
people not from your village coming into your village and putting their stuff in other people's piles. The other problem is people coming around taking all the scrap metal that's worth money, that the people who pick it up will give you. All of these people said they would work with you. But if they're getting no scrap because somebody is stealing it, then they're making less money. They want to cut a deal because they want the scrap. And there's a lot to think about. There really is. It's not just that, I understand what you're saying. It's not that simple. Because what if somebody has $100 worth and somebody has $10 worth? And what if they've had it happen in Bel Air. They still do the cleanup, but they've had it happen where piles grow in triple because people come to their town and put it on there. So there has to be some sort of policing involved, some, way to, whether it goes out the night before and cleanup starts at 8 a.m., whether you maybe hold it back from the curb in your yard. I don't know all the answers. I know they're all there to be thought about.
And I just want to caution people, when you compare us to other villages, and you say they do it for free, compare their millage rate to ours. I can guarantee you, they're not free. That's a millage that everybody's paying.
Right.
To generate some money to do it. So I'm just saying, just when you look,
Right.
compare our
Oh, it's
millage
not
to
free.
theirs. I mean,
They're using the taxpayers' money. It runs anywhere from $10,000 to $32,000 for spring cleanup. Some townships, villages, whatever, have that kind of money. And once they earmark it every year after that then, so it makes it easier. But it's something that I wanted to put a bug in your ear to, because we really need it done.
I agree. I think we can discuss it, but I think it's gonna take a lot of discussion on how if we do proceed, how it's fair. Yeah, because there are people that have told me they adamantly do not want their tax dollars spent to clean up other people's stuff. So that issue's out there too, and then they get upset because they say, I take care of mine, let them take care of theirs. So that's honestly what we hear constantly.
Which was my goal in trying to do a per household fee, flat rate. And it was $50. You take 2 6-foot couches, put them together, fill them up. The couches plus the stuff, $50. I thought it was a great deal. It's too much money for some people. So I said, well, let's see if we can find a way where we can get it down to $25. But the guy who's doing it's gotta make money. He's going house to house, he's using all his gas. I was gonna organize all the addresses, the route, everything, just because I wanted this done in my yard. It would have been easier just to pay $50 and get it done and not say a word.
Judy,
But-
did you check with the township to see what they said? Yeah, because I know I took up a yard, I believe it was 1 yard, it was $50, which was a 4x4x4 basic, and I believe it was $50.
One crushed yard is $40.
Okay, which would be pretty comparable to these.
Yep,
Okay.
everybody pretty much has kind of the same prices, except the door-to-door is expensive if you consider how many households you have. You're talking about $18,000. That's just, that's why I wanted to arrange it so that people could pay.
Is that your push more here, is the door-to-door rather than you take it to a certain spot? If I remember, the last years that we've done it, was always done what we call our swamp area. I don't never
Right.
remember a door-to-door, I've
We
lived
never
essentially
did.
like 40
Okay.
years, it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
We did.
Right.
But
It's
I don't
been
remember.
years.
Right. No, the park and pack is actually the least expensive way to go. And they just come in at a place that you designate, they come in, they set, they crush it as people bring their stuff in. And that would end up to be about $3,300 if 300 households used it.
If you limit one truckload per, that you're saying?
Yeah, and you could do, well, no, it would take, he said he can,
Per household.
right.
So
It's like
your
two
averages are on
couches.
one truckload per household, correct?
Right, it's like 2 couches, a TV, a bed, a desk, a dresser, that's like a load, if you can picture it, it's, you know, there are so many nuances to this, and I, you know, in all these phone calls, I'm finding it out. Most people have around the same price, don't have to have door-to-door, you can have packing, and it's affordable to have, the packing press, or whatever you call it.
Ken, I'll meet with them and we'll put something to paper and we'll present it.
I think it's a good idea.
I mean, it's,
Thank you.
there's
Nobody
people
could-
that want it, so
I
I
agree.
One thing also in mind, to keep in mind is that Trudy brought it up at the DDA meeting last night too, and they were fully on board, and they even suggested that they might be interested in funding it in future years. So maybe it's something you could do in partnership with them, and, you know, as part of their DDA efforts and Main Street program, you know, it's all about beautification and creating an aesthetic for Central Lake, and I think they understand that everybody in the community benefits from such a thing. So they're, you know, they might be able to help you too, or work with you somehow in their funds, you know,
I think,
to get it done. And also volunteers would be extremely helpful, because some people are not physically capable of taking the stuff. If you decide to go with the park and pack deal, maybe you could do a whole group effort, you know, volunteer.
I may be mistaken, but I believe DDA funds are restricted to the downtown development area.
I
So I'm not,
think
I
they are.
think they cannot spend outside of that area, with very few exceptions. So it's all things to look into.
Right, and
Volunteers,
with
so.
the park and pack, then you have the residents that want it. The other residents are not paying for, you know.
What's your last name, Trudy?
Carry, C-A-R-Y.
All right, I'll get in touch with you. Melissa, you wanna do this with me? Where's she at? Are you in?
Yep.
To her, us three will meet, we'll put something to paper, and we'll present it. 'Cause right now, we're just tossing numbers around, I got lost.
Right, thank you. I know, I should have made a copy for everybody, I didn't have time.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know, I got it.
Thank you, Judy.
You're
And
welcome,
Melissa.
thank you.
Any other public comment? Oh, Susie, I'm sorry.
Hi, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I have one comment, and I don't have an agenda, so I guess there's another section towards the end.
At the, yeah, right at the very end.
Okay, well, I want to address this one first. I happen to sit on the Paddle Antrim with the chambers throughout Antrim County, and I've been kind of investigating and checking some rules and regs and things out, and the last meeting that we were at, it was brought to my attention that it states underneath the park rules down here at Thurston Park, because that's the whole object, is to go from Ellsworth to Central Lake to Bel Air, and then to Elk Rapids. It's going to be a big event, and that's going to be in September 2015. It states absolutely no campers are allowed in water within 10 feet of the boat launch and or docks. Where are the launch areas for the non-motorized watercraft, their canoes, and the kayakers? Now, I don't know where that is. I'm asking who's ever ahead of parks or who's ever ahead of that. Can somebody answer that? 'Cause so no one can wade in the water, be around that. There seems to be some confusion, and I just think it needs to be resolved where the docks and that is.
They're not allowed, kids are not, there's no swimming allowed around the docks. They gotta stay away from that area.
Okay,
No swimming or anybody in the water.
so
unless
nobody
they're-
can be in the water.
That's right.
So where do the canoe and the kayakers, where do they put their
Well,
kayaks?
then they could bring those up there. Lyle, maybe you can tell them.
Well,
In the past, they have been launching their canoes and kayaks on the south side of the boat ramps there.
There's a
They
15
normally
foot
park their trucks
Yeah.
or whatever right there and walk
March
right
step
there.
Yeah.
back. Solid on the very left, wooden dock. There is the concrete ramp to the south of that. There's a 15-foot swath of property. Then the Stembeck's property continues south.
Oh, so is that on village property or,
Yes.
or it's not STEM? Okay, all right. Thank you for that. I wanted to report that back to them.
Thank you. Any other? Close public comment and move on to reports. Scott?
Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at the April report. A lot of time spent on follow-up complaints and meetings, and we also assisted Bel Air Police Department with the Shorts anniversary celebration that was down there. It went really well, so. Any questions?
Thank you, Scott. Sam?
Everybody, I hope, has a copy of DPW operations. We got all the streets swept up, 45 yards of dirt we picked up. I don't know if anybody's seen the picture on Facebook or not, but huge mountain of sand that comes off them roads in the spring of the year. We had 4 broken water services that we have repaired. So we still have 3 holes in the blacktop. We're waiting for them to harden down real good, and then we'll get somebody to come in and put patch back in to get them back up. Steve, Jeff, and myself had a spring regional meeting with DQ in Gaylord last month. Updates on all the new up and coming stuff. And we hauled all the snow piles out of town. We still had a lot of them. So we hauled them out so we could get the parking lots and everything swept up so it looks clean around the downtown area. And we still have 1 frozen water service.
Wow.
To date. Called Charlevoix, City of Charlevoix, they have 4 of them right now. Ellsworth has 1 still frozen. So it tells you the frost isn't out of the ground yet.
Days like today.
We'll see. Any questions?
Oh, I do. Sorry. What do we do about leaf and branch removal since they're not burning in the big pile anymore?
All leaves can be hauled down to the place where you normally haul them down to,
Okay.
and branches will be discussed on the agenda tonight.
Okay.
What's the
thank you.
place that you normally?
Down behind the BP station, behind the Lions Club building right there.
Oh, okay.
That's where we got huge, and by the way, for everybody in here, there's, anybody that's village residents, what we do is we mulch the leaves down to black dirt. So anybody that's a village resident can come down and get that black dirt too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lyle?
Well, arrived, this morning, yeah, early afternoon. Been go since. I power washed, the bathrooms inside and out. Scrubbed and waxed the floors afterwards. Cleaned the shower pans, floor pans, and, Sam and I went down and got some epoxy and put 2 coats of epoxy on those pans, so they, I don't know how long it's gonna last, but it looks nice right now. Picked up leaves, so we had a lot of those left over from last fall because of the weather problems we had last fall. And, cleaned up the high water debris. I had 7 trailer loads of debris along those 8 campsites there by the water. That was the first time around. The second time I had 3 loads. We reset 13 of the posts that were pulled out over the winter. Repaired the lattice on the bridges that were damaged. I still got one to do. Cleaned the drains out of the flowing well there, a couple times full of leaves. Cleaned most of the fire pits. Got 4 or 5 more to do. A little hard to get at them because we've got some campsites that are not underwater, but almost. Today I power washed the cleaning station inside and out. And all the sidewalks there, and I edged the one sidewalk alongside the bathroom, I took the edges and filled in a couple holes in the park. Other than that, pretty much the way it is, and, we have got, right at present, we've got 4 campsites that we cannot use. 7, of course, is a wash off, and that's been being worked on, and, 21, 23, and 20, all that pretty solid. And, just a couple of more that we get a couple of good days, they might dry up. But, there's 3 of them there. And 21, 20, 18, those ones in that end are all ready to start in the middle of June.
We'll count on you drying them up, Lyle. Complete confidence.
Yeah, okay.
Can we write that down? Lyle will dry all sites.
Lyle volunteered to talk about it. Well, the water level's still going down, I'm sure.
The reservation is like good, the reservation looked good for July, the rest of the year stinks right now. There's several spots in July that are still built, weekly spots, daily spots. But, that's where we are right now.
Okay. Any questions for Rob? Good, Rob. Correspondence. I have another one of our, this is from the Michigan Public Service Commission for Consumers Energy, second notice of hearing. Consumers Energy requests Michigan Public Service Commission approval of its revised power supply cost recovery plan and PSCR factor of .00456 per kilowatt hour for all classes of customers for the remainder of the 2014 PSCR year beginning July 1st, 2014. Anybody who'd like to attend, the second pre-hearing will be held May 13th, 2014, 9 a.m. Constitutional Hall in Lansing, Michigan. If anybody's interested, let me know.
I don't want to know.
.00456 per kilowatt hour.
That's what we think.
That gives us something to do that day. Another letter from Sarah Christensen at Northern Lakes Economic Alliance. Says, happy Friday. I wanted to say congratulations on the recent positive press for the village. Your crew is really making tangible strides forward. Please continue to bounce questions off of our staff as you undertake projects, especially with the DDA. Also, annual membership dues should be coming in the mail very soon. We look forward to continuing to be here for the village as a tool to support your economic development efforts. Feel free to contact us anytime. Have a great weekend. That is all the correspondence I have at the moment. Committee reports. Rob?
I haven't heard anything from Consumer Powers, so that's probably a good thing. We are still continuing to pursue options for repaving Herrick, Bradford, Grove, and Lake Street. Denise and I have been exchanging emails in regards to the directional boring of the residents along Herrick and Grove Street. Still looking at options, and that's all I have.
Any questions? Thank you, Rob. Denise, sewer and water?
I don't have anything, Sam covered it. Thank you, Sam.
Bill, law enforcement.
Well, we had limited time spent on patrol this last month due to pending complaints that took priority. We had a recall on the Crown Vic patrol car. We got that taken care of and it's ready for the summer. And we got update on our vests that the officers wear, thanks to Armor Express. Thank you very much. The vests have a 5-year life, and they have to be rotated out by then. That's what they replaced, and thanks to Armor Express, they have it. And that's all I got.
Any questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Rod, communication?
Well, I was out last month, so, what was the last meeting? Working on a couple things, but don't have anything to update at this time, so.
Any questions for Rod? Thanks, Rod. Joe, finance?
We've been busy. We looked at the budget pretty extensively. We looked at the year end, things looked pretty good. Auditors were here, the initials for everything was pretty good, but of course we're waiting on the final. And of course, you guys, I'm sure you've seen in your packets, the year end, or the budget amendments that Ken and I worked on, and Rachael helped us tremendously the last 2 days, so. That's all I have.
Any questions for Joe? Joe? Lela, parts?
All right, we've had an awful lot going on this year down there, and I think I'll let Rob explain the problem we talked about the other day.
Lela and I got together, and there was a lot of concern about when the whole DNR Thurston Park project was gonna take place. We got hold of our engineering firm, Gordy Frazier, and they put out the timeline. If you don't have it, Sam's probably sitting on them in the back. And I think some points of interest as we look at it, June 30th is when Gordy Frazier is going to come back and have the actual survey and design and what it actually is going to look like. Right now, it's been very fuzzy. And then finally, actual work is going to start not till mid-August. So it's showing just a timeline of what's going to happen here. So most of the summer will have gone by before we actually start breaking ground. And that's it. Lela, back to you.
Well, it's better for them to start in the fall than it is right now, because that'll leave the park open.
Partially, I'll just say, part of what slows that down is only money that can be spent right now is engineering money. No, they can't send anything out to bid, they can't do anything until we have an application we'll approve for a project agreement with the DNR. Until that agreement is approved, which the deadline for it is June 18th, and they said that means none will be approved until June 18th. So they'll do engineering, they'll do the survey will probably start within 2 to 3 weeks, they'll survey all the property in the park. So we'll determine exactly where that leased area is. And that's kind of what slows it down to that point.
Yeah.
So nothing truly really gets rolling until then, so.
Well, that, in a sense, that's good, because it's gonna free the park, the whole area for park defense.
Yeah, because I believe they're not really gonna start, they're mid-August, late August, before they're really on site working, so. That's just out of our control, but at least it's a good project going
It's a
forward.
good, yes, it is. I think people are gonna be very impressed when it's all done.
I think so. Great project. Any questions for Lela?
Where can people see pictures of what it's going to look like?
June 30th, it's gonna be a village review. That's gonna be the big picture.
But where, I mean, you guys have obviously seen a picture of it, where,
No.
We've had, we've had 2 or 3 public meetings, it's been posted,
Yeah.
it's been out there. It's been on Facebook.
The schematic is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where can you find it?
just a rough drawing.
It's on the,
I'd have to go look right now if I can.
it's on, I thought it was on our Facebook page.
I thought it was, if not, we'll get it out there again. Okay? It's just a
Yeah,
sketch.
I've
You know,
tried
it's a
to find
layout
it
of
this year.
sketch. It'll be 2 pictures. It's a layout of the boardwalk and the piers in the park, the paths, where the bathhouse will be, and then there's another sketch that shows the layout of the actual bathhouse. And at this point, that's all we have. So,
June 30th is gonna be the day that we actually see, after they get done with the survey, soil boring, and everything else, exactly what's gonna happen. Right now, it's a very fluid situation based on water levels and everything else. So,
We can't even decide on what's gonna happen yet.
no, they haven't picked out materials for the docks, and then none of that's been done until the money's approved. So the lot will start taking shape at that point, but we'll get those pictures. I'm sure they've been there, we'll get them on there.
I haven't
Right.
Okay,
seen
no.
them anywhere.
Okay. We will get that.
do we have on Facebook page, Rob?
Put it on,
We'll have on
Facebook.
tomorrow. We can have on tomorrow? Okay.
Put it on our page.
Who,
Well, not tomorrow.
who admins our Facebook page, the village page?
Rachel.
Just Rachael?
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. My report, Rob, covered most of it on the grant project. The other one that I just want to bring to your attention, we won't do any of it tonight, but I want to help people think about it for a while. There's another piece of property in the village that's been reverted to the state on taxes, and we get first right of refusal. This just came in It's a vacant lot in the village, so I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of it and we can look at it and discuss it next month. It just came in, yesterday or something, so I apologize, but it just happened, so. I will get that out. I believe that's all I have at this point. Any questions? Okay, so we move on to approval of bills. I accept a motion to approve prepaid bills in the amount of $29,957.69. Payroll in the amount of $4,842.18. Payables in the amount of $23,530.33. For total approved bills of $58,330.20. Motion by Chapman. Second by Thier. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Tyler.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. We move on to new business. The first item under new business is open burning. Once again, as the leaves came on, people started burning, the question was raised on what's allowed to be burned in the village. Scott and I looked at it, we talked to Bill. It's our belief, and I will read you what it says in the village ordinance. It says, the outdoor burning of building materials, garbage, junk, paper, or rubbish, either on the ground or in a burn barrel. These are forbidden. This section shall not be interpreted, however, to limit the use of public or private campfire pit or public cooking facilities. So it's my opinion that means we allow the burning of leaves. And if you go on to Antrim County's burn permit website and you click on local ordinances, under Central Lake Village, it says the open burning of either grass clippings or leaves is allowed with a permit. So at this point, it is allowed in the village. The DNR bans the burning of trees, logs, brush, and stumps within 1,400 feet of a city or village due to Department of Environmental Quality rules. So brush burning is out. They're not allowed to burn household waste. Effective April 19, 2012, they prohibit the open burning of household trash that contains plastic, rubber, foam, chemically treated wood, textiles, electronics, chemicals, or hazardous materials. So basically all we're talking about is leaves and lawn clippings. And paper and burn barrels is still allowed within the village, with the proper burn barrel with a metal grate over it. So, I think Bill probably, a few things to talk about the safety of it. What do we want to do with that issue, I guess, within the village?
My first concern is the close proximity of houses and the easy spread of fire, especially this time of year, where you have a whole winter's worth of leaves laid there and dried. And now, I'm sure that every one of us are very attentive to our fires and very careful in the wind direction, and we have a way of extinguishing the fire should it become necessary. But not everybody is that way. And by the time a person reacts to their fire that has gotten out of hand and decides they can't put it out by themselves, calls for help, dispatch sends us, we get there, you're talking about 15-20 minutes. And a fire can burn 3 houses in that 15-20 minutes, and we can't do anything about it. And I plead with you, it is very, very dangerous. I mean, you don't know who's going to be burning next and which way the wind's going to be blowing. And many of us have respiratory problems. The smoke is atrocious from a smoldering leaf fire. Leaves are very difficult to burn, so most everybody uses some type of accelerant, which in turn changes the procedure again. Makes it more dangerous. So it's, especially in the village where you have houses sort of close together and people that have to live close together and, put up with smoke from the neighbor and, you just hang your clothes out and I light my leaf fire. You're not going to be very happy about it if it's blowing a leaf. It's just not a safe practice. And I love to burn my leaves, but I haven't been and I won't because I'm sure it's not safe. And You know, if you get a burn permit to burn and you burn it, you're still got the liabilities that you would have all the time. You still have the liability for the fire, safety of the fire. That's what I have about that, but the smoke is one of the big things with, even with the burn barrels, you know, they've always been a problem with smoke, and I've gotten, I couldn't even count how many calls I've gotten complaining about the neighbor burning trash in his burn barrel. You know, the smoke is, it's pretty obnoxious to have to sit there and close your windows or something in the summertime because the neighbor's burning a smoldering barrel. I'd like to see us enact a no open burning act, including yard burns. You know, it's as much safety as it is consideration for your neighbor.
And to touch on what he said about smoke, I know whatever we do, the people are gonna say the village forbids us from burning. We don't make these rules. This is from the Department of Environmental Quality. And just so you know, I'm not just making this up. The contact person is James Ostrowski. His number is 517-249-8057. According to him, under general open burning, Michigan air quality and solid waste regulations prohibit open burning that creates smoke or odor nuisances. So while they say you're allowed to burn leaves and lawn clippings, we all know what happens when you burn lawn clippings for sure. It creates smoke and odor. So, I mean, any other opinion? We're not.
Why couldn't, Bill suggested we just have an ordinance against any burning,
Well, that's what we're discussing.
and I think it'd be a good idea. I'm with that one.
Would that include like a household campfire if you had company up? or
No,
something
no,
like that?
nothing.
Just in your
No
yard?
cook fires they are allowed.
It states that in ours too, and anywhere you read through it, I probably won't find them all, Jack. Every time it says it does not.
Cook fires are
It says under campfires in the DEQ, air quality regulations allow the burning of logs, brush, charcoal, or other similar materials for the purpose of food preparation or recreation unless prohibited by local laws. So the DEQ does allow.
About the only time they're prohibited is when we're on a red flag, you know, and
Yeah.
the extreme.
Right. Yep.
Can this not be considered the size lot that you're talking about? I mean, I've got an acre here in the village that I keep blowing and clean. I don't have a, I mean, are y'all thinking that some of us have some property here in the village that?
It's very difficult to make a rule for one person or.
Well, I'm not asking for one person, I'm saying, can't we consider lot sizes and just not put us all in one category? I mean.
Are we looking at making a decision on this tonight? Is this
Well,
something
I'm
that, would it be something that we could postpone a vote for 1 month? Maybe use our Facebook page to try and get some input back from different residents, like, to see what they want. I mean, me personally, I don't want leaves burning right next to my house either, but I understand situations like that. I also know that the village does offer the leaf drop off down there, so.
You know how
I
many
just
loads
wonder,
I
is it worth
take out of
getting
my
some
yard
input?
now?
How much, pardon me?
I said, do you know how many loads I take out of my yard already? I mean, that's a lot. I take all my plants and everything, all my brush, but you're talking major leaves.
How many times has the fire department been called out to somebody burning either their leaves or?
I couldn't even count as many times. There's a lot. We get complaints from neighbors all the time and don't always have to go out in the fire department. A lot of times I'll go out and just speak to people and usually it's, you know, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think. You know, that's the way it's normally handled. Sometimes there's, you know, a number of times there's been fires that just, nobody's home. They either reignited after they left or they left it burning. And you can't do that. You can't have an unattended fire.
So you don't have a record of how many actual leaf fires turn drastic, or, I mean, is it 5, 10, 20, you know?
How many are what?
How many serious fires have developed because of leaves and brush?
We were to two of them last week, so I don't know, I couldn't tell you how many, but it's a considerable amount.
which
That
is
was in
two
the
every week. I'm
village
just
or
trying to get a
the-
number in my head. Is it 20? Is it 50? Is it, is it just seasonal, or I mean, is it all?
Well, it's very
stuff
seasonal,
going,
yes.
or-
This time of year in the fall, spring and fall is when you have the problems. Yep.
So, but can you guesstimate, or can we look back at records and determine how serious this is? Or?
I really couldn't, I could do some looking, but I mean, my whole point is it doesn't make any difference if it was one. You don't allow, firearms to be discharged in the
Right,
place
right.
because it's
Well, no, I'm
not
just
safe.
trying to understand if it's, critical
It's
mass,
just-
do we
it's
need
a-
to say yes, stop it today, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many, but,
Yeah.
but if it's one, it's unsafe, you know? That's my point. I mean, I know that it's inconvenient for some people, and I do feel for you, but I see it as a safety issue, not as a convenience.
I have a quick question. I know it's kind of off the open burn, but kind of right there, when you read the ordinance for that particular thing, the last part about the campfires, can you kind of explain that to me and what that means? You know, you can't burn the other stuff that you mentioned previously, except whereas the campfires are concerned. What does that mean? Am I allowed to use crumpled up newspapers to start my campfire? Am I allowed to, branches that fall in my yard during a windstorm, cut those up and use those to start my campfire? Because, no offense to Scott, but he's been coming up to my house a little bit too much these last few years.
You can tell the whole
When I
story
have a
'cause you
camp,
weren't
when I have a
attending the fire
campfire,
so.
I was in town, one time I was in my house when we stopped, so let's clarify that. Didn't come here to argue. I just want to know what is allowed to start your fire in my, my campfire in my yard.
I guess I have trouble answering that.
Well,
To define a campfire, I'm sure it's contained in a pit, and I'm sure if you're using newspaper to start the fire, personally, I don't think Scott's gonna come and tell you to put that fire out.
Well, a campfire is a cook fire, you're cooking over it. If you're just using it to dispose of your brush, you're not right.
No, I
If
don't
you're using it
always
for
cook
cooking,
over it. Most of the time, I'm sitting out at my campfire, enjoying the campfire. We might occasionally roast hot dogs or marshmallows over it, but I don't want to continue to have our local law enforcement come to my house because a neighbor wants to complain about the
you can't
campfire.
make noxious smoke,
So, well, I don't,
campfire or not.
right, I understand that, but that's what I'm wanting to know, what you can use to start your campfire.
I think unfortunately, in the scenario you're describing, it wouldn't matter what you used to start it. If your neighbor made a complaint and Scott has to respond to it, it wouldn't matter if you used regular wood or paper. If somebody made a complaint, it's because somebody else made a complaint, is why you would respond.
There's some things we can't do.
Well, I think that starts the borderline on harassment against residents then. I mean, there has to be something, and Scott's been out there plenty of times. So, other than the one time I was in my house checking on my food when he showed up to check to see what I was burning in my campfire pit. That's kind of wasting his time, it's harassing me or any other resident. I don't want to get in depth in this, I just really wanted to know what you could use to start the campfire with. So I understood
I
it.
don't want to answer that.
A match.
But it's like Bill said, that will always be the problem with campfires in town. When your neighbor calls and says your permitted campfire is causing a smoke nuisance, Scott has to respond, and then it's all,
But why does he have to respond if they're allowed?
you're not allowed to create a smoke nuisance. So if your neighbor calls and says it's
So
creating
then
a
you
smoke
might as well
nuisance.
do away without the campfires
Well, that's what I'm saying,
in-house,
everything is,
right?
nothing's black and white. No, I like campfires personally, but you have to accept the fact that if they're allowed use, when your neighbor complains, Scott has to respond to that in some way. Like I said, we didn't make that rule. then that's the problem.
Well,
I love having
actually,
campfires in my
put the
backyard, to tell you
ordinance in here,
personally, I like to
so-
burn all my leaves, but that's not the situation we're in. We have to look at everybody in that proximity. Nobody's trying to say we're banning, even talking about banning campfires.
Well, I'm saying we might as well, if he's gonna come out every time a neighbor has a complaint. I mean, it's pointless to have campfires in town if somebody complains.
Yeah, how many campfire complaints have you attended to in a season? Would you guess? Yes, you. How many?
But, you know, when I pull up and no one's around for a 5-minute period, that's not an attended fire, so she needs to tell the whole story.
Well, I'm in my kitchen where I can see my fire. I've gone in to check stuff in the house. So you're kind of making a mountain out of a molehill, actually.
You brought it up.
And it was one incident.
One more
and you're
comment
making it
to
sound-
the council.
I do
It's
it all
not
the
the
time.
fire that's the problem, and it's not the police department answering the calls that's the problem. It's the neighbor and the
Right.
communication
I
that's the
understand
problem.
that, but I'm trying to figure out what's allowed to start a campfire. So I'm not getting a ticket from Scott one day, he decides to come up and what I consider harass me about it.
I'd invite that neighbor over for those hot dogs and
Well, I don't
marshmallows.
know.
Okay, I think what would the council like to do with this?
I think you definitely had a lot of public
I'd like
input.
us to make a decision on it, whether we do it now or next month, we can.
I'm not against anything Bill has said, I agree with him, and I've seen it myself with them going out. My wife's on the department, so I hear them when they go out, and there is a lot of them. And the proximities of the houses in town, 50-foot lots, 60-foot lots, it makes it really hard. Some people have an acre, and it's unfortunate they're inside of the village or abutting to the woodline. But I kind of like to see more input from people out in the community. Do they want it? But again, if it's a safety issue, do you?
It's not really a, you know, I think, that's the way I see it. I don't want my neighbors burning next to me, it's just unsafe.
My next door neighbor's burn barrel is literally outside of my living room window.
My neighbor burns and leaves it.
Yep.
He leaves his house and leaves it burning.
Yep.
By voice vote, how many council members would like to address this next month after more time to think about it?
I would like a little more time to see
Yeah, we can
people's
discuss it.
reaction.
Bill?
The wording has to be very careful.
Yeah. Lela?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes. Okay. And then I was gonna talk about this under old business, under blight, and I know last month I said we're gonna address blight, and I've changed my opinion on that for one reason. After talking to Rachael, and don't ask me how it's gonna happen, I talked to Rod about it, the village is gonna come up with, I'll probably use the wrong term, some type of social media site or something that allows interaction from the public, that Rachael can monitor so it doesn't get out of control, so we can get public input more easily from people. So that we can speak up on it. We're not gonna have a site that turns into a feud. So we're trying to find a way to do it and manage it, so that kind of addresses that. So we can get some input on that for a month, we can get some input on the blight, because I know people don't like coming to the meeting and speaking. I understand that, but we're trying to find a good way to interact with the public that's not gonna take a huge amount of somebody's time or cause a disruption in the community.
I think with what we have in place now, our Facebook page would be a great place to do that, and with somebody monitoring it on a regular basis, we wouldn't have to limit it as we have in the past, because we have somebody there, but.
The last thing we want is a page out there the public can view with people in our community bickering. I mean, that's not good for our community. I know it happens, but we need to find a way to make sure that doesn't happen. We do want public input.
I just have a question about the fire, you know, if you do decide to go through with a no burn thing, what kind of fines or penalties are people gonna be looking at, you know, for starting this fire? That
We would, I'm sure it'd be written up the same way that, I wouldn't tell you the fine right now, you know, Scott, I honestly don't know. It'd be probably written up as a misdemeanor under an ordinance.
Probably a civil
It's
infraction.
probably okay. It's probably like a
$100 fine the first one,
$100
probably
fine.
$250 second, maybe $500 third one. Usually how they do this.
Okay, so we will,
So since you're putting the decision off of 1 month, what is and is not allowed today? Can I go
You
home?
still can't make noxious smoke.
Right. So could
You
I
can't
go
burn-
home?
You can't burn, any dimensional lumber, or if it's a 2x4, you can't burn.
Okay.
You can't burn any synthetic product.
Can you burn your paper garbage?
No.
No.
Paper, yes.
Today, you can't
Paper in the burn barrel.
garbage.
You burn paper in the burn barrel with a grate over the top.
With a grate over, thank you.
No, I actually checked that. Paper is allowed.
Paper in a burn barrel with a top.
Sealed with a grate with like, I think it's quarter inch.
Okay.
No brush.
No brush.
Okay.
One more question. When you say no dimensional lumber, like, is that just womanized or treated?
Anything processed, if it's cut into, if it's cut into dimensions.
No, yeah, you can't burn like that, you can't burn a 2x4.
Has that been on the book song?
Long time.
You got a month.
Okay. I mean, it's a book you didn't have.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's been, long time. Okay. We will move on to VSP, the vision. There's some confusion on what we're doing with your vision program.
Okay, are we bringing this back next month?
Next month, we will, yes.
What is it? VSP? I didn't hear, what is it?
It's their vision program, their eye care.
Oh, okay.
So if you guys can help us on that, we just want to clear up the confusion.
We never made a decision on it. I made a proposal to you guys when we changed our insurance and our HSAs, which is health savings accounts, in case somebody in the audience don't know what it stands for. And the vision would have been extra on our policies, out of our pockets, on payroll deduction. That is what I come to the board and ask. Well, we tabled it, we never made a decision on it.
So we wouldn't be paying for the vision, we would just be administering the payments.
You would be doing payroll deduction for the payment,
Okay.
for whoever wants it.
Are you looking for a motion for that?
No, I'm looking for clarification so we can look into it, because right now, your new policy covers dependents, like your dependents are covered.
For his
So your
children.
minor children.
Yep.
So you wouldn't need that on your VSP, but maybe in the next week or so, let's get together with Rachael and look at the VSP plans and move from there. We just don't want to do anything about without talking to the council, so we all know where we're at. So, there's a little confusion there, so.
And Scott had come to you that same and talked about dental. If there's any way we could come up with something under dental. If there's any side policies you can put on it.
You mean instead of?
Right now, the village gives us $800 a year to use towards our dental.
Correct.
Now, for Scott, is there a, like the eye thing is a monthly payment that we make?
It's insurance.
Is there, it's a side insurance. Is there a side insurance we can add on our policy for dental? Which Scott could use part of that $800 to pay for that dental. You know, he may be able to pick up an 80-20 policy, and that $800 that you guys give us per calendar year, if we don't use it, we lose it. He could put that towards that, and he might only have to be responsible for 20% of the whole dental bill. With that $800 that's there. Did I say it right, Scott?
Good job.
We'll look into it.
Super.
Okay, we'll see what's there. I couldn't answer that right now. But everybody okay with that? See what's going on. Okay. Item number C is brush pickup. Sam brought this to me. He would like to offer to the community where we pick a day. Say we pick and don't, it's just a day, I'll pick up top of my head. Say we say Monday, May 22nd, June 8th, whatever day. If you bring your brush, and we will stipulate, what was the size, Sam, 4 inch diameter?
Let's stipulate nothing bigger than 4 inch, or 6 inch in diameter, 4 foot in length.
If you bring that to the curb.
Because that way, I can pick it up, the 6 inch
Within
long.
that week, the DPW will pick it up. We won't promise we'll pick it up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but within that 1 week, and we would encourage people, if we approve this, to have it on Monday, so they get an idea of what it takes. Yeah, because we don't want to drive around the whole town every day, so they want that week to fit into their schedule too. So.
Like a, one-time thing, like a.
But when you have it out that Monday, and within that week, within that following week, the DPW will get it picked up.
I mean, like once during the season?
That's when I could clean up right now to get brushed out.
I would say once right now to see how it goes. If it goes good, maybe we might come back to you guys in the fall and go, boy, it went really super good, let's Maybe give them one day in the fall, but let's do once and try.
The DPW is willing to try, we can't, right now, we couldn't even say how long it's gonna take or what it is, so it's like, I think it's a good idea to give it a try, I'm not gonna promise we're gonna do it again, but I think let's try it, and let's see how it works.
It's a great idea.
So,
They have it all by Monday.
And I'm even willing to pick a day right now.
yeah, I said, let's do it.
Pick the first Monday in June for me to pick it up.
I think that's the third.
Start picking it up the first Monday in June, we will start.
That's the second.
Okay, so that gives them the week before to get that brush hauled out, and set where they want to set. That actually gives them from this meeting date till then to set.
And then the
And you find in the
DPW,
driveway till then?
No, you got my truck, we all.
by Friday, the sixth.
So you're gonna pick it up from Monday to Friday then?
Yes.
You want to alter by Monday.
I want it up by Monday, so I know how much I have to get, so I know how much we're talking.
Now, can you record the address, record it once, and then say, I picked you up, and then they don't call you back on Thursday and say, all right, I got more stuff out there, and you say, well, I've already been there once, you had the opportunity.
If I'm going back by, we're gonna start picking up anyways. And if we're not, and reality is, folks, it's Central Lake, it's not that big.
Right.
How's that for an answer?
6-inch diameter, 4-foot length.
4-foot lengths? Stacked?
That's just
How to say
branches
it?
and
Stacked
stuff.
large.
Neatly?
Neatly. Because if you put butts opposite directions, you know what it's like picking up.
Stacks, not piles.
Organized.
Organized.
They throw it in
An
piles,
organized
it's 3 times as long.
An organized pile brush.
I don't know how to say it.
Well, let's, we gotta start somewhere.
We'll go with something, and if it don't work, we'll say we shouldn't have did that. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of trees to cut between now
And the only reason we're doing the brush is because lots of people don't have trucks to haul, and we do.
Rachael, flyers, we'll put it up on the Facebook page.
The flyers and Facebook page.
Great idea, great idea.
June 2nd is the day?
Yeah.
Yes.
That week.
Yeah, we're encouraging them to have it out by June.
Yeah, the week goes.
Pine trees, should you take off the?
Let's just see how it goes.
Nothing over 6 inches in diameter and 4 foot long.
I don't know, nothing over 6
Nothing over 6 inches in diameter, nothing no more than 4 foot long. That means if you've got a branch that's all hairy, you gotta cut the limbs off it and stack it up. That's easy for us to do.
Everybody's in agreement, we will do that?
I think great idea.
Okay. And let's all encourage our neighbors, everybody not to abuse it, so hopefully it goes well in the area. So let's try to work through it well. Thank you.
We'll be able to take that to the township?
Okay. We move on to action items. Action item A is the hiring of a village administrator. So, you want to talk about that a little? A lot of work on it?
In the budget part of looking at it, as Ken asked last week, to look at what we thought the funding, many of us talked, thinking that putting Rachael into that position, or adding it to the clerk treasurer would be one of the prime places to do, for a person just to add another part-time job to hers to make her a full-time employee. Looked over the budget, really everything, is workable within the budget. We're not really taking any monies from any one particular fund, we're not doing anything there to work the budget. We're not pulling from fund balances, we just won't grow our revenue over expenditures as quickly. And in doing so, we'll have to revisit the water and sewer rate study to ensure that we're not hurting ourselves in our 20-year plans. And stuff, we're waiting for our audit to come back fully on that. But as we went through, the budget is tight, but we found, and just by pinching everything back, Sam gave a little in his funds, Scott gave a little in his, just, and pulling back some of the areas that we had over budgeted in the past on certain things for that what if, we pull a little from there and come up with the money. Ken worked really hard on this today, and so did Rachael. So.
Is there any questions on the financial part of it in the budget?
Yes. Sorry. Do I have to stand? Okay.
Okay, Jimmy.
I have a couple of questions there. Most of them are yes and no, yes or no questions. All right. Is it legal to approve this and to expend funds and possibly create a legal document, which would be a contract with her, without that coming through the council, or is that what you're in the?
We have the employment contract prepared by an attorney in front of us.
Okay, and that went through the council?
It will not. We haven't approved.
That's what you're, okay.
That's what we're.
All right.
So the council
did the-
told you to make a contract, or you're just, I mean, at what point did you decide to make a contract?
At the point we discussed it last week.
But I mean, did the council vote and say, yes, let's make a contract?
I'm not even gonna go down that road. I'm not even gonna do it. The council agreed we were pursuing this, and we pursued it. So, next question.
Okay. Was the council provided with the job description of the village administrator?
Last month's meeting,
And that would be the title, correct?
it would be considered, the additional portion of the village administrator.
Okay. And you look at that title as being quite different than a village manager? Or a little different than a village manager?
Much
'Cause
less
that's
authority
important.
than the village manager.
Much less authority?
Yes.
Okay. How did you determine the pay scale?
Been talking to Rachael and other council members have talked to Rachael, and what we felt was fair to create a larger job. A lot of responsibilities, what we're gonna give her, a lot of work to be done.
Right. Did you consider if you hired a part-time person, you would save the $8,000 in insurance?
Yes, we did, because then you're creating a part-time job that it's hard to keep somebody employed. We've been through it with part-time clerk treasurers before. So it's not a good road. We felt much better with creating one good job, rather than multiple part-time jobs.
Well, actually, a village administrator could be one part-time job, but you would save money because you're not having to pay the insurance.
I thought we were gonna find one that's gonna work for that, getting some of the money without insurance.
Those are my,
That'd be the village administrator was our thought as a council.
okay. Was this job supposed to be posted publicly or not? Is that something that, okay. Most village administrators have either a bachelor's or master's in administrative assistance. And so what,
Most village managers.
no administrators, administrators
Okay,
too.
I'm not.
Okay, yeah, we don't need, we don't argue about it.
We're
I'm
not
just saying
creating a
what-
40-hour-a-week village manager's job.
Correct.
We're not,
What-
can't afford it.
What were the qualifications that Rachael brought to the table?
Her performance in the office since we've hired her and her willingness to do it.
Those are my questions.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to say this, in this creation of this new position, for example, the situation with consumer powers. I had to take off work at 3 times for a 9 a.m. meeting to meet with consumer powers to go over the schematic of all the lights that were missing. That could have been a situation that somebody else could have done instead of myself. This took time out of my day. Somebody else could have done that. Denise and I and Sam were working on the directional boring and the repaving of the streets, driving around. Again, it's something that, and then all of a sudden we've got 3 people talking, we have 4 people talking. And we have all these layers of people talking to one another, and a lot of times things seem to fall through the cracks because what is their position, what isn't, what are they supposed to do, or what aren't they supposed to do, that sort of thing. And it would just, I can say for myself that I put a lot of time in it, and it would be very nice to take a little bit off of my plate. I know with Ken working on different things, he had to, go to court last fall over situations and things like that. Joe on the finance committee, Lela with Parks and Rec with the Sunrise, the reservation policy, she's taken that upon herself now too. These are all, each one of us is taking a small amount and giving it over to her, hopefully streamlining the whole village. I mean, hopefully we can write another grant and she can start pursuing that and getting more grants. There's a lot of things out there that I'm not very qualified to do, because I don't do it every day. But if this individual has an in because they can talk to so-and-so at the DEQ or the DNR, that's what I see this position evolving into.
So she has grant writing experience, grant
Well, that
requesting
was
experience.
the whole thing. I didn't, when we
Experience
started this
working
whole
in
grant writing thing, we didn't know what we were doing, and it fell into place. And so hopefully, with her now on board, seeing the grant writing proposal going through, she can kind of take it over for our next grant.
No, I understand what you're saying, is that she can pick up the slack,
Yeah.
and, one of my concerns is that a village administrator, part of their job is to be extremely communicative with the citizens of the village, extremely, and bring their concerns to you to have them addressed. I understand you're saying we're not gonna give her all the powers that are usually given to a village administrator, which is good because it's a lot. It's a huge job. And so my concern was, like you were saying, how much authority, a village administrator has an authority to get rid of all of you.
I honestly, I've researched it quite a bit. There's a village manager form of government, there's a mayor form of government, and there is a council form of government. I have never seen a village administrator form of government.
No, but she does,
The village manager is
her
given
umbrella
power
covers,
by the state.
covers a lot. But one of the things I
Her
would like to
umbrellas
see.
cover what her employment agreement
Right.
dictates.
Right, but if you start giving her positions that are the duties, that fall under the duties of the village council, then you're giving her, when you start to assign her your duties, then I think you start talking about the manager role. And in order to assign a manager, and if you're giving her the authority and the duties of a manager and passing out some of your own elected duties to her, then, you know, according to the General Law Village Act, that requires passing of an ordinance. Because
We are not
if you're
hiring
doing-
a village manager. I'll
Are
state
you
that
hiring,
again.
what are you hiring exactly, an office administrator then?
A village
An
administrator.
office administrator?
A village administrator.
Okay, because when I see a village administrator, usually I see that slash
It is.
manager.
Yeah.
And they refer to kind of, that typically denotes one and the same thing.
No, it's not. You're hiring a village administrator.
Okay.
Okay? And this has been talked about for probably 15 years on the village council. I'll ask this question. Who runs your village on a day-to-day basis?
I don't think that it's up to me to decide. There's law,
Well,
and
who
there's
do you-
code about how the clerk
who
is
does somebody
assigned,
in
how
the
those
public
duties are
assume-
assigned. Those duties are assigned by ordinance. There's in the village code. how
What
that's-
duty is assigned by ordinance?
All the clerk duties.
I know. I could go print you out a copy of the clerk duties and the treasurer duties. They do not do the day-to-day operations of the village. They do clerk duties and they do treasurer duties. I could print you out the duties of the trustees and of the village president. My question is, who do you assume handles the day-to-day operations of your village? Clerk handles the clerk duties. The treasurer handles the treasurer duties. Your township pays a township supervisor to do it. Your county pays their, every township has a township supervisor that is paid.
I understand.
Oh, that's not, the
No, so I'm
that's
saying
not
that
the
we're comparing
question.
apples to apples. I'm just saying.
What I'm saying is I want to see the communication that is underneath this title, because it's huge. It is getting with all of the village residents at different times. It is taking our concerns, bringing them to you with no thought to differentiate.
And that's what I'm saying, we don't have that person now. That's what we're trying to create. And the advantage to taking this new creation and putting hers, if we want, you say, why don't we hire a part-time village administrator? Then you have somebody here part-time. If we combine it with clerk treasurer, you have somebody here who's here 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Will the office be open then?
The office will be open 40 hours a week. So
Right.
that's what I say, so you want to say, your townships, and I'm not picking on the township, I'm just comparing other things. Your township supervisor is available to you 6 hours a week. If we combine this job with clerk treasurer, you have availability to the clerk, the treasurer, or her role as village administrator, 40 hours a week. That's a big advantage to that. I think, well, I'm not trying to bad you, I'm just saying, for years, nobody's been in place. You know, for years, the village tried to operate on like 15 hours a week for the clerk and treasurer.
Didn't you say that you couldn't afford to pay the previous clerk anymore or provide for that person benefits?
No. No,
It's my
budgets
understanding that
have
happened in
changed.
recent
I
history.
was on the council at the time, there were many discussions that took place with that. There were many problems that took place. I'm not gonna go backwards and rehash all the past problems we had. Not gonna do it.
Okay, one more, I'm sorry.
Yes or no?
One more. She has her clerk duties, her treasurer duties, and her administrative duties. When I called at 1:30 today to ask to be put on your agenda, the question to me was, what's it about? And I answered it was about village cleanup. Just a minute. She went and talked to somebody else. I don't know who, but I heard in the background. No, you can do that during public comment. I said, I need more than 3 minutes. And it's like, okay, you're gonna have a village administrator who, when a citizen asks, can I be put on the agenda, is going to tell them no?
I don't know why you can have the council put an item on the agenda. Your time to talk.
I thought I was
Public
supposed to
comment.
call the clerk.
To ask to have an item put on the agenda?
How did Rob
I
Hines
said
have
it.
his
What
item?
item did you
Action
want?
items, that's what I
What
said.
action item did you want? That's
Talk
up to the
about the
council to
village
decide,
cleanup.
that's my decision, what goes on the agenda. My
Okay,
decision,
well, I wanted to talk about village cleanup, which you allowed me to
which
do.
we allowed
I mean, you're
I'm saying. if we
generously allowing me to speak a lot
all-
here
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah, and I mean, the hope is that this turns into something we all have to work through. It's a new step. I think it's a good one, it's a positive step, to have somebody in place. We're gonna try to achieve, like I said, we're gonna try to be much more interactive with the community, but we need somebody in place to do that. Until we have that person in place, we can't move forward, we stay right where we're at.
And with your question of your call earlier, I would have to think, has she dealt with that type of a question before? Has anybody ever called and asked to be put on their
It
agenda?
doesn't matter, you're giving her a village
She's having a time
administrator.
somehow.
That should be
Until she
something
deals with that and she
This
has
isn't
that
on-the-job
opportunity.
training. This is a job that requires a degree.
Then we will raise the millage to produce about $65,000 to hire that trained person with the degree to address your needs. That's where we're at.
That's
The
not-
job you're asking for will cost a huge amount of money. We're trying to work through it on a limited budget, the best we can do. Okay? You go to other communities and ask them what they pay their village manager.
Oh, I know.
Okay? So I mean, if that's what the village wants,
Well, if
We'll
you
just pay more
did
money.
pay $65,000, you would have somebody who has
I
experience.
pay how much?
If you paid that kind of money, and if you actually went through the process and hired a manager, with that person, you could be drawing from a large professional pool of people
And
who
where
might
do
be
we
interested,
get-
excuse me, interested in submitting their resumes and things like that. I mean, this is a professional position. I think you might want to open the hiring pool up a little bit, because there might be some people really interested in doing that.
So so.
I'm just making a suggestion that this is
Well, my
not,
question
you
is,
know.
As the council, where do you want to get $65,000 to hire this person?
Where do they do that in your village?
Because we will raise the mills, that's the only way they'll get it.
Are they gonna do that in your village?
Yeah, Joe, do we have $65,000?
They are actually
Not this
advertising
budget.
currently
It's
in
not
Torch Lake Township, they are currently advertising for a zoning administrator, where people are welcome to submit their application for that position. Yes, they do that in my community. They do that. They advertise for job openings in communities every day.
Well,
Yes, they
Are
do.
they gonna hire a village?
Well, for that kind of position, they would
Supervisor
put
or
an ad
manager
open,
for
they would offer, you know, they might.
we are not putting an ad in to hire a village administrator. We are combining a
Okay, well,
village
you're creating
administrator
a
job with the
position then
clerk
for
treasurer that's
somebody
in
in
place.
mind, that's
I
what
think
you're doing, I think you should at least be honest about that. You can
No,
just
what am I being
want to
honest
create a job
about?
for Rachael specifically.
No, we are combining the job with the current clerk treasurer's job.
With one person.
We only have one clerk treasurer.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So you're expanding the clerk position.
No, we are adding the administrator's job with the clerk treasurer, two completely separate jobs, completely separate pay. One's an employee, one's an appointed official.
Appointed?
Clerk treasurer
What's
is our
appointed official?
clerk treasurer is an appointed official. Always have been. You know? Does everybody look over the employment agreement?
So you have two different job descriptions before you all there, you have clerk and then you have administrator, and you can tell us the difference between the two as far as duties go?
We all have the job, I'm not going over what we went over last month with the description. We're gonna,
Well, I'm just asking, you're all aware?
we've all seen the village administrator's job description passed out last month.
Seen that.
Hmm?
I've seen that.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying, so we've been through that. This is the contract to hire her.
If she's not reelected, does the next person get the two positions?
She's not elected, she's appointed.
If you're not reelected,
This is a 6-year job.
what happens to her positions?
If who isn't?
If you're not reelected, what happens?
She's
to
appointed by
the
the council.
Well, okay, so then if she's not reappointed by the council, or if the new council changes up or something, then what happens with the clerk/administrator position?
The clerk treasurer would no longer be appointed, she would still
But
be
the
hired as the
administrator still be there
administrator.
as a part-time
Two separate
person,
jobs.
that's how that would work?
Yes,
Yeah, because that's a 6-year term.
2 years.
So they're two separate
The
salaries?
administrator is 6 years in Michigan.
This has been prepared by our attorneys, okay? There's nothing that states a village administrator is hired. She's a hired employee. Nobody in the state says you have to hire an employee for 6 years. She's a hired employee. She's not a village manager. Clerk treasurer is appointed every 2 years by the council, running concurrent with the president's election.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying, I've been through this.
No, I know, Ron,
She's-
I missed what you said.
She's
I'm
hired
sorry.
as.
Oh, I just asked Rob, I made a comment to Rob. If we just give her additional duties without a title, would this have been an issue?
Yes, you would have had
It's
to
more
pass
about the
ordinance.
title than just giving her additional duties with a raise and pay.
If you gave her additional duties, you would have had to pass an ordinance to do so.
Well, I'm just saying, would it be, I guess I don't understand
No.
the point of the question from the get-go about
It's right here.
why it is such an issue, you know, why.
Well, to
I'm
me,
just
it's kind of
curious.
simple.
Is this,
You're
is
talking about a lot of money,
we're gonna
okay?
understand
You're
it.
talking about $35,000 a year plus $8,000 for insurance, and we don't have $3,000 to do village cleanup.
Trudy, I don't know where you come up with this $3,000 number for spring cleanup. I've been doing it for 20 years with the village. I think 20 years ago, I never saw, I think it was $5,000 minimum. Last time we did it, it was
I'm talking
$10,500
about the
bucks.
different
Yeah, but
options
that
that we
misses the
have.
And that was with a parking pad,
That misses
the
the point.
cheapest we could.
That
The
does
point
miss
is
the
that
point.
when it comes to something like cleanup or those kinds of things, it's regularly told to people that you don't have the budget, you don't get enough millage for Central Lake. But then for these other projects, if Ralph Hines suggests he wants to be on the agenda for something and wants $800 for a PA system, he gets added to the agenda, makes a public comment requesting that, and gets his $800 all in that same evening. And this is, that happened in April. And you added him to the agenda.
You added him
at
to the
beginning of
agenda.
April. You can watch the video.
I believe that he spoke at public comment and we added a PA system to it, which was our
You-
discussion to purchase a PA system for our
Right.
softball.
This is the order it went in, because I just watched the video.
Yeah.
You made an addendum to the agenda adding the PA system. Ralph spoke, and then later on in action items, you indeed voted for the PA system. All that happened on April 14th. It's in the video.
Yeah, okay.
So those kinds of things were regular, that's
we're
the
gonna move on
point,
to
is not that
employment.
whether it's 3,000 or 5,000 for
Does anybody have
cleanup,
any
but that we're
questions?
regularly told there's no budget for
I
it.
got a question.
Yes.
Facilitate this meeting.
Yes, we're moving on with the employment agreement. Any questions on the employment agreement?
I do have one question.
Yes.
Page 2, number 5. And shall be the sole discretion, either give more than 14 days written notice of termination and shall pay severance pay equals 14 days further. Is that a standard? Is that it? Because if we were to, and I only look at it, if we were to terminate any other employee, do we give them 14 days?
This is the contract that was prepared.
Okay, that would be my only question.
So why not just call her the village clerk at 40 hours a week?
No, public comment shut down, we're moving on. Questions on the contract?
I just want to be sure that it's on unlimited, that she has her trial period, right?
Evaluate 6 months after the effective date of the contract.
And like I said, working with Rachael, as I have the last couple of days with the budget and all, she worked very well on this stuff that Ken and I put her through. She was here till 9:30 the other night, finishing up some things. She definitely has a dedication and has put it in. And I see no reason why she can't grow with this job, and that's what we're hoping she will.
So in October, we're gonna, you said that we have a 6-month probationary period.
6 month evaluation.
Evaluation, so in 6 months, we're gonna evaluate.
Right.
Okay.
the pays for treasurers in there, or pays administrators in there. Before we agree to this, I'd like to, Rachael has agreed to accept a payment in lieu of health insurance. We have to set that amount by resolution.
All right.
So I'd like to do that before we say we agree to the contract, so we know what that is. So you have a resolution in front of you. With the payment, the amount of $8,000 in lieu of health insurance.
Is that, we're just gonna write her a check for $8,000 today, or?
So is there any discussion on that?
No.
I think that's a very discounted deal, knowing what we just included the insurance with the other guys.
And the end of the contract, it states those payments will be made on payday. Contract states, just so. Payable in equal installments on the same paydays as other village employees. I would accept a motion to offer this employment agreement.
And this resolution is only effective if.
Yes, this agreement states that we set that amount in resolution. That being because as Brian and I talked about it, if the insurance situation changes next year, we can talk about that amount again. I mean, that amount isn't paid, that amount is in lieu of insurance. So next year, we'll talk about the other village employees, we also talk to Rachael again about insurance. So she's just accepted a payment in lieu of group healthcare coverage, which is a savings to the village.
Is the payment all at once, or is it prorated per month?
The payment is paid in equal installments on the same paydays as other village employees.
So 8,000 divided for a year?
Yep, on the paydays, yeah, she's not gonna get a $8,000 check.
So her salary's 43.
43,000 a year is your
So it
salary
was
then.
to 25,
Going to 35.
going to 10,000 salary, 8,000 in lieu of insurance.
So 18 additional.
18 additional.
Right.
Correct.
Mhm.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the employment agreement, so there's a Mosher and
We'll do this first, and then per the employment agreement, we set the amount. I just wanted to discuss the resolution, so we knew what it was gonna be. Okay. So the motion by Bodley, second by Chapman. Roll call, please, Rachael.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. I would accept the motion, accept the resolution for the payment in lieu of health insurance. Motion by Chapman. Support. Second by Bodley. Roll call, please.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
Yep. Yes, motion passed. Thank you. Action item C is to opt out of Public Act 152. We've done this every year for probably 4 or 5 years, ever since the economic vitality incentive. It used to be a requirement of that. It's no longer that, but we still have to do it. What this does is it specifies the amount our employees would have to pay toward their health insurance, specifies it's an 80-20 plan, lots of things that we always call it, or we get the option to opt out and do as we've always done. Every year so far, we have chosen to opt out and continue our coverage as we do. So I would accept the motion to opt out of Public Act 152.
Opt out of Public Act 152.
Motion by Bodley, second by Chapman. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Too much more. Action item C, as we talked about numerous times, that's Brian and back, the special event ordinance and agreement. Everybody should have that in front of them. I think we look at the ordinance first, is the best order here. But the ordinance says, I sent it back to Brian, that it changed a lot, especially when ordinance pertain to any property within the village. Ours is a group of 200 or more people held on property owned by or under the jurisdiction of the village. We're not gonna tell people what to do on their private property. And the main reason for it, there's no fee for it, there's nothing, it's just so the village knows what's going on with groups of 200 or more. So Scott knows it, so Sam knows it, so we know. So we make sure there's proper insurance in place, because insurance has become an issue. Susie, yes.
I would like to take just a few minutes and address the council on this issue before you guys vote on it. The Central Lake Chamber has been a longtime partner in the community, hosting many events, volunteering many hours to bring tourism and events to the village. I cannot find this ordinance or anything on your webpage.
We don't have them, that's what we're doing now. We passed
Oh,
the
okay.
special, we're doing it right now.
Okay, so my question is, the chamber received a letter. The chamber received the event permit. Have each one of you council members seen the letter that was sent to the chamber? Yes or no? I'm just asking a question. Okay, have you seen the event permit?
Yes.
Yep. Look, I was only sent out that time, because at that point, we needed to know what was going on in the village of Central.
I
We had no idea what
understand.
events were planned.
I understand the event permit, I'm totally 100% behind that. The verbiage, we're not in favor of. The letter states, the Village of Central Lake would like the chamber to fill out events permits for any and all events that the chamber is planning on having within the village. Now, my question, and the board has asked a question because we've met on this, is, are you really considering approving this if you've seen this permit?
We have a special event agreement in front of us.
So you guys haven't reviewed it for the last week, but you're gonna review it and vote on it tonight.
This was in there, event agreement was in there, council package.
Because the,
No, the new event agreement prepared by
so
Brian.
it says signatures, gotta have a layout or a sketch. It
You're going by
says,
an old, we have a new
oh,
special event agreement.
oh, and so the signatures by the DPW, the DDA, the law enforcement.
This is a new one.
I wonder why we didn't get one.
Because we haven't approved it.
Oh, well, why was this sent out?
Because the honest answer is, the village had no idea what the chamber was doing, we had no idea when they wanted to pavilion or not, and we needed to know. And I just,
Oh, don't sit there and say that. In October, I said I was not gonna be upset. In October, I personally handed out event packets to everybody. I went to the planning commission, we went to the DDA, that was last October. Now, don't sit
within the
there
last
and tell
month, there
me
was
that
discussion
you,
about what dates you wanted the pavilion
No.
for, because it was going on the reservation.
I'm not talking about the pavilion, I'm not talking
Okay.
about the
Did
pavilion.
you,
All the events were discussed. They were handed to each one of you.
And we seen the events, and so we know the events. The question more was, what amenities were you asking from us?
It was on there. It was listed what we need from law enforcement, what we needed from the village, the DPW.
It was under necessities, locations.
Thank you.
Okay, I missed
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
All right.
And
It's on video.
so yes or no, have all the council members seen this? You're looking at it now, right?
The new special event agreement, yeah.
Okay.
Right, Ron.
All right. Now, did any other organizations receive this letter? Have any other organizations, the Lions, the Lioness, the Masons, the churches, anybody else? Just the chamber? Are you guys all aware of that? That just the chamber got this letter?
I was not aware of that.
No,
Thank you, thank you.
I was not.
And if you're gonna
Okay.
pass an ordinance, you might wanna read it aloud.
The Masons, bless their hearts, the Lions, the Lioness, the churches, we are here to support all of them. This has been our mission for over 50 years. And now we get slapped with a letter requesting insurance. We don't have a problem with the insurance. That's not the problem. We don't have a problem filling out the permit. That's not the problem. We have a problem why no one else has received this information except the Chamber of Commerce. Now, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, I'm not quite finished yet. I feel that the rest of these organizations should have received the same letter and the same events page that we received. And why this hasn't happened? Because you want to know what some people have said to me? Because the chamber is singled out.
Sorry to feel that
So,
way.
no, it's not me that feels that way, it's the board.
We're talking about organized outdoor events of 200 people or more. So I didn't realize the Lions had events that size at all. Okay.
It's any and all events in the letter, any and all
The
events.
information you sent to the chamber isn't even
Not
current as
200
to what you're
people.
talking about right now.
Okay, let's move on as a
You've
council.
singled out the Chamber of Commerce.
Blow us off,
It's very
none
clear.
of you will sit there and listen. Just listen to us, please.
And I'd like to make another comment. There is an important event that has the potential to draw not just hundreds, but in the long term, thousands of people to Thurston Park in Central Lake. People with expendable income that want to spend their money. That event is now on the line with the person being actually courted by other communities and other private organizations that are saying, hey, you know what? You're not getting the support that you need from the Village of Central Lake or from the Chamber of Commerce and stuff. Come to our community. We'd love to host your event. We'd like to help those people. And that is your role also as a village council and the DDA and all of these different organizations to help this guy pull off this event, not get in his way, not make it harder, not put up obstacles in all of our paths. And this is, it's very clear that it is specifically the chamber that's being singled out here, that this isn't being requested of anybody else, at least not before today.
Do you have any obstacles we put up for any event?
Susie Petty, I've worked with you before, and I apologize that the letter's only sent out to you. Hopefully it was only an oversight. I would never, I've worked with both
I know
of
you
you. I
wouldn't.
would never,
I know.
ever,
I know.
I wish you would have, both of you just picked up the phone.
You know what?
And-
That's
And I didn't know any of this was going on, and this
Right.
could have been cleared up with one phone call
No.
over here.
No, it would
No,
not.
I think so.
We
No,
have
I'm
tried.
sorry, Rob. We
Maybe I
tried.
looked with rose-colored glasses, but I would have done anything.
We have tried.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to say, we appreciate your support, your teamwork. And for the last 3 years, and now really the last 2 years, it's been nothing but a hassle. It's been nothing but a hassle. And we feel like that we're getting kicked in the side for every event and everything that we want to bring to this community. And that's where I stand. And the chamber board stands that way.
And
we don't get
You know,
paid a penny.
any council, know any event that we have put a roadblock in front of come to our committee.
No, but it's just the way they feel. We don't,
Yeah.
we can't say how they feel.
Actually, phone calls are being placed. I don't know if you're aware, but the person, there are being phone calls. There are phone calls taking place where people, I don't know, purporting to be representing the village, calling up event coordinators for one of these events in particular and asking what their insurance position is for this event. This person doesn't have any role on the council or any role in administration whatsoever, but they're calling this person and asking, what insurance are you carrying? Have you got the insurance thing carried out? There are things that are happening and there are conversations taking place.
Yes.
No, what I
I'm
did,
telling you,
It's
this is not generated from me. This isn't, this is not
Me?
something I'm making up. This is something people are coming to us and bringing
Telling
to
us.
into our awareness.
I made phone calls to other villages to make sure that you did need insurance. I was supporting you. I was calling to make sure, I called East Jordan and find out what, if they did have insurance. I spoke to the lady that ran the chamber in East Jordan a couple months ago. Name escapes me offhand, but I wanted to make sure that we were doing the same thing, streamlined with other villages. And she got back to me, and indeed, they do have insurance, and she actually gave me the name of the insurance company. And I didn't talk to you about that?
No, you didn't talk to me. She called me and said, I
Yeah.
had this guy call me from the village. What is
That was
going
me.
on over there?
Yeah. Did I talk to Bill? I talked to you on the
No,
phone?
I haven't talked to you.
Or then I spoke to Bill on the phone
You
about
could
the
have, you
outdoor
could have
event.
talked to
And
me.
also, you may not be aware that in the forum, it talks about the possibility that you might have to carry an additional $1 million liability policy payable to the village. Those are, you know, I mean, you may not perceive them as obstacles, but that is something that the Chamber of Commerce, who is used to, we're all doing this as volunteers. Nobody's getting paid to do any of this. And so our budget is actually very slim. You know, so you are actually putting up potential obstacles. They're asking us to do things that haven't been required in the past. And it seems like it's arbitrary.
They have insurance.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they have insurance. They cover three
That's what I'm saying, the chamber has to bring liability insurance. Anybody bringing events has to bring liability insurance.
Okay, hang on. Now, I want to know, have all these other organizations, they haven't been notified that they have to carry insurance? Nope, the Lions, Lioness.
I will definitely say it was an oversight. Then maybe they should have.
Well, there's quite a few organizations and the school.
Yeah, they didn't bring us an event schedule saying they're buying the events.
So when they bring an event schedule.
And-
That's why we're having this
Never
ordinance.
And how about-
Coming up with a special event agreement so we can get a handle on who's having events and make sure they.
I agree with that. I agree with that. That's what we tried. That's what we did. That's what we did. We set that all up. The second point is the damn facts is happening at Thurston Park. Wonderful. They're talking about the dam, the water levels and stuff. Was a letter sent to them? And they're serving wine and hors d'oeuvres. Wonderful. My question to you guys, are you, any of you aware of that? Do they, how many millions of dollars insurance do they have to have? I really, really think you need to rethink this.
I don't know nothing about it. I don't know what you're talking about.
They reserved Thurston Park.
Who's they?
It's June 17th. It's called the Dam Facts. Mark Stone and a bunch of people. I don't know. You guys, you're running the village. I'm not. I'm not running it.
Could that be Grass River?
Don't ask me. I don't make reservations down there.
So is there a dam fact that you know of in our reservation system?
All I know is Grass River. That's the only one that I can think of that had said that they would be on.
So my other question is, so when we have the parade, we got the car show coming up, we have, every time we have events, it's another obstacle that we have to jump over.
What's the obstacle?
Is getting insurance. Do everybody have to have insurance?
Getting it, how can you not want, you have to have insurance.
Oh, okay.
The village doesn't have it. Do you want everybody in the car show to have no insurance on their liability?
Let me-
Because that's what you're saying.
let
You
me
want to
ask
put, you want to put everybody there at risk because you won't bring insurance.
No, I didn't say.
We won't allow that to
bring
happen in the
insurance.
village. We are
I'm
not going to open the village up to a lawsuit because we allow events that do not bring proper insurance.
If you're making that statement, then that's your statement.
50 years.
My,
That's what you're saying.
we've always fell under the hospice, the umbrella of the village.
You never have. That comes directly from every insurance company I contacted, right straight from the Michigan Municipal League, right straight from Brian Graham and Peter Wendland. So don't act like I'm making this up.
I didn't say you're
You need
making
to bring
it up. If you're
insurance.
saying
So
it.
you're saying you were covered? It was assumed you were covered. The question got brought up when the outdoor event came to the village and said, we are thinking about having an archery shoot at the park. Could you find out if that's covered under your insurance? We didn't go. They came and asked us to find out. The answer was, no, you need to contact your insurance company and make sure you have proper things in place for insurance. That became numerous phone calls to insurance companies, to other organizations, to other communities, and to the attorneys. The answer all came back. They are not covered under your village policy. They must bring their own liability, or you put the entire village of Central Lake and the people at the event at risk with no insurance. As a village council member, I will not do that to the community or the residents.
Do you recall our conversation just before window night about the hayride? I said, I called you personally, and I said, Ken, we're having a hayride. Where are we at with the liability insurance? And you said, don't worry about it, the village will cover it. You fall under the village.
And I was wrong, and now we're fixing it.
Well, then you better fix it for all the other
Yeah,
organizations.
that's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing right now.
I can hardly wait till the Lioness and the Lions and the Masons and everybody. VFW will stand up here and sell paint.
The guys selling the poppies out in the middle of the highway.
If they have an organized outdoor event of 200 people or more, they will abide by the same rules.
It's too bad we didn't get that copy.
We
Sure got this one.
Just move. Let's move on. We just address it. So you have the ordinance.
So the ordinance will be posted for public comment for 30 days?
For public comment? No.
I think this is a law.
I think it's not, and I know that for a fact.
Well,
So we're moving
okay, as
on.
far as an outdoor event goes, I did tell the person who runs the outdoor event that we would kind of get back with them about how the council responded, because they would like to know if they have village support for this event, or if they need to just drop it or move it. One of the outdoor
They
events
have
that
to
are being
have full
placed at
support of the
Thurston.
village, you issue
Thurston
all
Park.
event insurance.
No, we don't have the full support. I'm sorry.
So now, so what you're proposing here, this ordinance is so that anybody who's having a party or event at Thurston Park that could draw 200 people has to file a special permit and bring in,
If you increase the liability to the village.
how do you determine if the liability is increased?
How do we determine it?
Yeah, like
If you-
200 people gather at the park to roast hot dogs, and that's okay, but 200
That's a
people in the
regular
park
park
can't
activity.
gather
You
and
start
have
bringing
a
in
trade show.
stages and bands and booths and events, and we increase the liability to the village.
That's gonna change things for the chamber.
And is this wording right, no, about the insurance, no less than 30 weeks before the event?
No, that must be. No, I'm glad you know.
Days? First page under 6.
Under insurance.
Thanks, Denise.
Yep.
30 weeks.
I seen it. This is what I found in the road. So we won't have any other one after.
They changed the way they do it.
Okay, yes. Yes, yeah, okay, I'm with you. And then we will not use the other one anymore. Yeah,
They changed the law.
I'm with you now, okay? This is organized outdoor.
30 days in advance.
So the Lions, when they do their chicken dinner, way over 200 people with boiling water and all of the things that involves, they're going to have to follow the same suit, right?
Does anybody know off the top of their head how much an organization has to pay for a $1 million insurance policy? I have no clue. Is that an obstacle for, for groups like the Lions, Chamber, Masons?
Can the chamber just ask for you guys to
I
help
got
us
$1
pay for
million
the insurance?
insurance for one
And what?
day, and it was
Can we
like
just, can the chamber just ask for you to help us pay the insurance, like Ralph needed the PA, can we say,
Oh,
we need
yeah.
some money?
We need $800. Can you approve that for us?
We bought a PA system for our village-owned facility.
I'm just using that as an example, it could have been anything, anything. We're here saying we need
Video
money to
cameras,
help pay our insurance and keep these community events here.
trucks.
Why don't you feel you should have insurance like every other chamber does?
We're not saying that.
See,
Ellsworth
Ellsworth is supporting this outdoor festival, and they said they would cover it all. They didn't have to worry about that. Ellsworth Community somehow figured it out and said that they would gladly host an event, and they wouldn't have to worry about the insurance.
I would
Well,
encourage Ellsworth to contact their attorney and their insurance company. Our insurance company cannot cover anybody else's liability, only covers municipality, period. That's right straight from that. We can't even purchase insurance through them to cover chamber activity.
So
They cover only the village's liability.
So if the village can't afford to buy insurance, then we cancel our events?
The village has.
Or I mean, if the chamber can't afford to buy insurance,
if the chamber can't.
if the chamber can't afford to pay for insurance, then we have no events.
How much is your insurance?
$800.
For the one event.
Well, if you want to have one, or I asked for a one-day event price and haven't received that yet, that quote yet.
Now, is that through Fisher's? That's who the East Jordan was going.
No,
It's from Bart.
Bart.
Okay.
Is the chamber asking the village to consider paying $800 for the insurance?
No, it said help.
To help, or see what you can do to facilitate some of these events that are on the line, you know, while they're
I
waiting.
mean-
What happens is with this insurance question, whether or not they're gonna be able to afford to stay here, whether or not they are going to.
But, you know, I can see a
Maybe.
problem with that, because the other the other organizations are gonna come and ask you the same thing,
Yeah.
correct?
I think the one thing we all want to remember, this secures all parties interested. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for more events. I want more to happen here, I don't want to push anybody away. But I also want to know that everybody is covered. One accident that's not covered in Central Lakes and hurting shape.
Did you have insurance for the fishing tournament?
No, I did not, and I should have. I broke a rule, and I'm first to admit it.
So is the village gonna be covering the insurance for the special fishing tournament event next year?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Will it be an extra rider?
Well, no, it'd be my tournament, then I gotta join your
tournament, so then
chamber
you have
first.
to acquire
I gotta join your chamber and be on that side of the bench,
the-
so,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll pay for that too.
So when do these events have to be turned in by? Do you have a date?
We have some scheduled
No, we
already.
have
How does
60
this
days
affect our
before
existing
special.
calendar?
On this?
You don't have a date, or
60 days before the proposed special event.
60 days? So we got the car show coming up here in a month.
That's the insurance.
So we're not gonna be.
So I guess we're not gonna be insured for the car show. This form didn't get out to us.
It's 60 days for the event permit, but they have to show the insurance within 30 days.
That's what I do look at it. This is the ordinance, that when they need to get the agreement. They get the agreement in 30 days to show the insurance.
Okay.
I really hope nobody gets hurt when they're standing in the middle of the corner, the VFW or the Lions. Talk about a traffic stopper. I hope you guys considered that also.
I agree with you, Susie, I hope nobody does get hurt.
I do, I really do.
I just have a question about the ordinance. I mean, I thought that for an ordinance that you had to post a notice in the newspaper that it was happening and the public would have 30 days to make comment. So any ordinance you passed before, you just never let anybody look at it.
Most ordinance, no. Zoning has a separate, whole different structure for zoning ordinance.
Could you at least read it out loud so we know what you're passing? I mean, this is a public meeting.
No, this is a village council meeting the
It's a
public's
public
allowed to
meeting.
attend.
It's
No,
a
this is
public
not a
meeting.
public hearing. This is not. a
Public meeting.
No, this is a village council meeting that the public is allowed to attend.
I wonder where they got their packets.
Well, we'll just put a letter in the paper saying you can't
we're insured.
I see both sides. I sympathize with them 110%. I wish we had concrete numbers we're talking about for insurance. At this point, we don't. I don't know what a one-a-day event insurance is gonna cost at this point. But on the other side, Dwyer says we need insurance, and we'd be remiss if something were to happen on our watch. I mean, I just think of the Venetian Festival in Charlotte, 20 years ago.
You know what that was all about? They didn't have proper insurance. That's why that went on for years, and everybody got sued because there was no insurance company. So, yeah, we're not picking it, we're trying to work through this insurance issue. I mean, you don't want to put people in the village at risk any more than I do, I'm sure.
Exactly.
And nobody does. I'm sure that the Knights of Columbus don't, the Lions don't, nobody does. This all came to light. We need to work through
And
it.
I'm not singling any of them out, I'm just giving you guys examples. Why did we get this letter?
Because it was the chamber planning all the events right now. We haven't heard from any of the rest. Nobody's picking on anybody. Nobody's trying to stop events. Insurance became a huge issue when we made that phone call to the insurance company.
Nobody, these guys back here are supposed to sign off on it, haven't even seen it either. So,
They can't sign off on it until you filled it out and sent it back.
no, they haven't even seen it.
We're
Does
talking
nobody
about,
review this
Joe, we're
stuff?
talking about this event that we're.
Yeah, this one
we're
we're right
talking
now.
about old ones.
But she's talking about the one she has right now.
I have 2 pages.
There's two issues. One, I agree, the one with the Lions and the Lionesses did not get their letter. I agree, it was an oversight on our part. I'll take full responsibility for that. Move on from there. I can see why you feel picked on, 110%. Nobody else got this letter. I agree. I did not know what was going on. Now, that being said, please accept my apology. The second thing, the insurance. Now, we've got to find a resolution for this insurance. But we don't know the dollar amount yet. That is the fly in the ointment. Am I correct?
You're correct.
All
Or if
right.
I can get a day then. Insurance.
Yes, a one-day permit. All right. All right.
So now we can narrow that down to how many events we would have.
Well, I have your event calendar right here.
Oh, over 200 people.
Yeah. So, that's where we're at.
I guess I wished I would have had this other letter form, whatever you guys have, because, you know, it's kind of.
It's getting approved tonight, though. That letter.
I don't see how anybody can approve it when the other entities haven't even seen it. But at your guys' meeting, you guys make the decision, and the Central Lake Chamber will make our decision. That's what the board decided. What we do.
Is it necessary to vote on this tonight?
All this is saying is that we require that they have the proper stuff in place to insure everybody. That's all this is saying,
Okay.
right? I mean, it's not saying you can't have an event, it's not saying you can't do this, it's just saying you gotta have everything that secures all parties involved.
But $1 million, is that?
I mean, that'd be, I
Who knows
guess,
how much that costs?
I don't know.
Like if a group.
I'm not having an event like that, so I don't know.
Could a fund be set up between the village and or a general fund, put away 2% of the budget to help bring business and people to Central Lake? As someone that's been here 20 years now, I've seen my business falter from, I'm at 25% of what I made 5 years ago after the economy. I don't see people rushing into come to Central Lake. And you have, I mean, full disclosure, I do stuff for the chamber, flyers and, you know, stuff like that, but all I see, I mean, it's only my second meeting in 20 years, and all I see is a lack of cooperation. You know, I mean, we're all trying to help each other, I would think. I pay taxes. I don't, you know, other than the Pelican, Budgies, Bachman's, that's all we got. You drive through this town,